Have you been thinking of moving to Europe but not really sure where to go? Well, in this part 2 video, I'm going to pick up where I left off and talk about the best cities in Europe to move to for Americans. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Cepee, rhymes with peppy, from SheHitRefresh.com. And I help women age 30 and over break free from a life of routine and move abroad or travel the world long term. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'd love it if you gave this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any move abroad content. So if you're here, that means that you have Europe on your mind. And it seems like more Americans than ever are ready to get the heck out of Dodge and move across the Atlantic for a better quality of life. In my last video, I went over the top 5 cities to move to in Europe for Americans. And in this video, I'm gonna give you 6 more. That's right, we're gonna go over 6 more cities that are a great fit if you're from the US. But first I wanna talk about real quick and just remind you of the criteria I use to pick these cities. So this criteria I chose, I'll also be talking about when I talk about each city. So number 1 is visa options. So I wanna make sure that there is an opportunity to obtain residency for an American in the countries that these cities are located in. I look at the cost of living, just making sure that the living is comparable more or less to living to a major city in the US. I look at healthcare, language, just seeing if it's a country where you can get by in English in case if you don't speak the local language. Of course, I always encourage people to learn the local language when they've moved somewhere. Is there a sense of community there in the sense that you can create community there? You're gonna be able to find like-minded people. The weather, what kind of weather they have. If there's a major airport or an airport that can get you in and out easily. And of course, transportation within the city so that you can get around easily without a car. So I can't stress it enough that it's totally possible for an American to move to Europe and especially to move to all of these cities that I have mentioned. I keep seeing out there lists of the best cities for digital nomads, quality of life, best cities to relocate to, and a lot of the cities on there are located in countries where there's no viable visa option for an American, and you just can't move there if you can't find the right visa. So with all these cities here, you can definitely get a visa to live in the countries, and I don't want to waste anyone's time by giving you irrelevant info. So you're not going to see any cities that are located in the Nordic countries on my list here because the honest truth is that there's no easy way to move there. But that's okay because between this video and my last one, you have 6 cities to choose from that are awesome places to get started to move to Europe. And if you didn't know, I actually did the research and identified the 17 easiest countries that you can move to in Europe if you're an American. And within that list, I also include 35 of the most popular cities to live in. So between this video and the last one, I go over 11 cities. If you want to hear about the rest of them, please check out my book, I'm Outta Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe. And you have over 50 viable visa options for you to move to Europe. And you don't have to be wealthy, get transferred, or marry a European to make your European dream come true. There are other viable ways that you can move across the Atlantic. So before we jump into today's list of these 6 cities, I just want to give my weekly shout out, and I want to thank you, Danny Stone, for leaving a comment on my video, Moving Abroad After 30, Here's Why You're Not Too Old. Danny says, love this, can't wait until I get to move abroad again, can't wait for more videos. Thank you so much, Danny. I hope that you get to move abroad really soon. And if you'd like me to give you a shout out, please comment on this video, drop your questions, or just let me know where in the world you want to move to. All right, are you ready to learn about the best cities in Europe for Americans? Let's dive in. All right, starting with number 6. Again, if you want to see the first 5, check out my last video, but number 6 here on the list is Prague, located in the Czech Republic. So foreigners have been flocking to the Czech Republic for years for its magnificent history, its bohemian culture, and its cheap prices. The Czech Republic is a small country and it's centrally located in Europe, which makes it ideal for those getaways all over the continent. I would say most expats settle in the country's capital of Prague, and it's one of the safest cities in the world and one of the most visited and visually stunning cities in Europe. Prague is the home of Franz Kafka and also known as the City of 100 Spires. The city features a grand array of architectural styles and incredible views. So you'll love to know that Prague is very welcoming to foreigners and known for its free spirit. And what I love is that the Czechs drink more beer per capita than anywhere else in the world. So that may have something to do with those free spirits. So if you're gonna move here, grab a pint at the local pub, and sit back and enjoy your new home. So living here isn't gonna break the bank because the cost of living in Prague is well below that of major cities in Western Europe. Average rent is gonna be anywhere from 600 to 800 euros a month, depending where you live in the city. When we talk about the language though, beyond the tourist areas and among young people, English is not gonna be very widely spoken. So you're gonna have to learn some Czech if you wanna live here. And talking about those viable visa options that I'd mentioned before, Prague made my list due to its relatively easy self-employment visa, making it a great option for English teachers and remote workers. There's also a demand here for foreign skilled workers, but like I've said in my other videos, it's very hard for Americans to get a work visa in a European country, so I wouldn't exactly count on that. And it's also important to know that average salaries are quite low, but they're slowly increasing, but your money's gonna go a lot further if you can bring that remote job with you. So healthcare in Prague is actually really great, and so much so that it has been ranked as one of the top spots for medical tourism. If you live here, you're gonna have to love cold weather because the weather in Prague spans from quite cold winters, but then mild summers. July is the warmest month with an average temperature of about 64 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know about you, but that's a little bit too cold for me for July, but I know people who can't stand the hot are gonna love that number. So like all the cities on my list, you're not gonna need a car to live in Prague, and public transportation in Prague is actually one of the best in Europe. It's really affordable and you have all kinds of options such as trains, buses, trams, suburban railways, all of the above to get you to your destinations within the city, within the country, and even crossing borders. If you'd like to know more about living in the Czech Republic and Prague, please check out my book, I'm Out of Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe. I dive quite deep in both to Prague and the Czech Republic. All right, that leads us to number 7 on our list here. The 7th city on my list of the best places in Europe for Americans to live in is Zurich, Switzerland. So Zurich is Switzerland's largest city and one of the world's financial center. It's often ranked as one of the most expensive cities to live in the world, but that's due to an exceptionally high quality of life. From everything from outstanding education and healthcare to political and economic stability, safety, cleanliness, and leisure all play a role in making it one of the top places in the world to live. So in Zurich, there is kind of an expat bubble, meaning that although you may not have a lot of local friends or have the opportunity to make a lot of local friends, you can get involved in Zurich's diverse international scene. So there's gonna be a lot of opportunities to build community there. But just know that things work a little different there. On Sundays, the city shuts down as the Swiss like to escape for a dose of fresh air. They love their outdoor activities in Switzerland. And so if you live in Zurich, you're gonna have access to things like skiing, hiking, swimming, tubing, all kinds of outdoors activities. Zurich really is a really great place to live. So if you're prepared to spend a bit more, you'd be hard pressed to find a better place than Zurich. But of course, all that quality of life does come at additional cost. So cost of living and daily expenses are gonna be high. Expect to pay anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000 a month in Zurich for your cost of living. And that can just be your apartment alone. And insurance is gonna be about 445 euros a month. Now I'm talking about euros here because I mentioned euros talking about Prague. In Zurich, they actually use Swiss francs. But just to be consistent with currency, I'm using euros. Local salaries will compensate for the cost of living. However, again, like I've said, the likelihood of obtaining a work visa is going to be pretty hard. It's not impossible though, but just keep that in mind. So Zurich is a city that has all 4 seasons, but it leans heavily on the cold ones. So the city though, it's in a prime location to explore the Alps. As I mentioned, if you live in Zurich, you're going to have access to the outdoors. So living there, you're going to have the prime location to explore the Alps, picture perfect Swiss towns, and of course, pristine lakes. The country itself is centrally located in Europe and it's really small. So in just a train's ride away, you can get to Italy, Germany, Austria, and France, which is a big perk of living in Zurich and Switzerland as a whole. So central Zurich is pretty compact and easily walkable. And then public transport is quintessentially Swiss. It's efficient, it's clean, it's on time. What more do you need? They also have a network of trams, buses, local trains. All of that will connect you to all corners of Zurich. And then also biking is really popular there as well. So Switzerland is a really interesting place when it comes to languages. While almost everyone speaks English and you won't have any problem getting by in English in Zurich, the country actually has 4 official languages and none of those are English. The official languages are German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Is that how you pronounce it? The Swiss also speak their local dialect, Swiss German. So depending on which region you move to, in Zurich, the main language is going to be German or Swiss German. But if you're moving to another part of Switzerland, you may have to learn a different language. Okay, let's move on to the 8th city on my list here, and that is Vienna, Austria. All right, with ample green spaces, efficient public transportation, and a low crime rate, Vienna consistently ranks as one of the highest quality of life cities in the world. It also has affordable housing, an eco-friendly status, a great educational system, and so much more. Located on the banks of the Danube, it's a city that fuses modern and classical culture. I mean, in Vienna, there are endless cultural activities going on, and as it should, because it was the home of both Mozart and Beethoven. So you can find everything ranging from world-class theater to expansive museums and a lot of outdoor activities. So as I mentioned, Vienna has affordable housing, which makes it a manageable place to live in terms of cost of living. So you're gonna expect to pay anywhere from 500 to about 1,100 euros a month for rent, and private healthcare will run a few hundred euros. And visa-wise, why Austria and Vienna made the list is through their equivalent of a non-lucrative visa. If you wanna learn more about this visa and your visa options for Austria and learn more about Vienna, again, check out my digital book, I'm Out of Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe. And like some of the other countries that I've mentioned, Austria also is pretty centrally located, and it's surrounded by 8 other countries. And this makes it the perfect place to start exploring the rest of Europe. But you don't even have to go far to explore. You can just stay in Vienna and in Austria. I mean, Vienna itself is often praised for its proximity to nature, and it's surrounded by lush green hills and hiking routes that are easily accessible by train or by car. And if you want to know about the weather, Vienna experiences all 4 seasons. So you may have sun, wind, cold, snow, and actually within Austria itself, the amount that you're going to have of all of these is going to vary depending on where in the country you live. So English is widely spoken, but it is best to learn some Austrian German or German, especially if you're going to explore beyond the city. And what I love about Vienna is that it's so walkable, and it also has a top-notch public transportation system. Okay, we are getting close to the end of the list here. Number 9 on our list is Cork, Ireland. Located on Ireland's southern coast, Cork is the country's 2nd largest city. So Cork may be known to tourists as the site of the Blarney Stone, but there's so much more happening in Cork. Cork is a place with a growing international scene and warm, friendly locals. It's a lively city that has been attracting a lot of people in the tech industry, and Cork is actually the home of Apple's European headquarters. In addition to techies, you're also going to find a lot of students in Cork. And the city center is pretty compact. You're going to find there fresh food markets, colorful buildings, and a riverside harbor. And going back to food, if you think that Irish food is all potatoes and stew, then think again, because Cork is known as the food capital of Ireland, with gastropubs, fresh seafood, craft beers, and a great coffee scene. So the cost of living in Cork is going to be a lot less than a bigger city like Dublin, and rent here, you can expect to pay an average of anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Healthcare in Ireland is going to put you back about 100 to 200 euros a month, which isn't bad compared to prices in the US. So learning a foreign language won't really be a problem here because English is the predominant language. This should help you in the friend-making department. Known for being warm and friendly, Corkonians are easy to strike up a conversation with. So no surprises here when it comes to the weather. Like much of Ireland, the weather in Cork is fairly wild and rain is abundant throughout the year. But in general, the weather can be really unpredictable here. If you can put up with the weather though, you're gonna gain so much and reap so many benefits of this area. There's majestic cliffs to explore and beaches to farmland and historical towns. The south of Ireland is brimming with nature, and it's just a beautiful place to live. As I mentioned, the city center is pretty compact, so walking is going to be the best way to get around, although cycling is becoming more popular. You can also use the extensive bus network to get around town or get out to the suburbs, and to get to neighboring towns or to go even further, like Dublin, you can take a commuter train. If you'd like to learn more about living in Ireland or more about Cork, check out my complete guide to living in Ireland as an American expat. You can find the link below. Number 10 on the list is Paris, France. And this city of lights hardly needs any introduction. As one of the most captivating cities in the world, Paris has charmed literary and fashion icons for centuries, from Ernest Hemingway to Coco Chanel. It's not only the capital of France, but a global icon in terms of world-class art, architecture, and gastronomy, and it's home to popular sites like the Louvre, Notre Dame, and the Eiffel Tower. If you live in Paris, you're going to be so lucky to enjoy the cafe culture, take a stroll along the Seine River, or wander through one of Paris's 20 arrondissements or neighborhoods, and you'll never know which you're going to find. There's so much to see and do in Paris, and one of the things I really love about this city is that it's one of the most multicultural cities in Europe, and immigrants make up about 20% of its population. And coming from a city like Houston, which is the most diverse city in the US, I really appreciate this about Paris because I think diversity only adds so much to a city, and that's something that I miss living in Spain, and definitely get my dose when I go visit Paris. So since Paris is one of the most visited cities in the world, you shouldn't have a problem getting by with English, but of course, knowing a bit of French is going to go a long way, and it's going to help you make friends with locals and just make your life there so much more comfortable. So while Paris is a stunning city, it is not cheap to live there. In fact, it's more expensive to live there than in most cities in the world. So although living in Paris may sound like a dream for many Americans, just take note that skyrocketing housing prices are something to consider before making that leap. If you move to Paris, you'll most likely have access to the public health system, which is one of the best in the world. And in terms of viable visa options, there's quite a few for France, but my favorite ones are their long stay visa or their non-lucrative equivalent, and their self-employment and tech visa, just to name a few. The city experiences all 4 seasons, from sweaty summer days to snowy winter ones and everything in between. And there's just so much, like I said, to see and do in Paris. But if you're itching to travel, there are plenty of places to explore. You can stay around close and do a day trip to Versailles, or you can head down south to the French Riviera. Or if you're looking to go a little bit further to a neighboring country, you can go check out Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Spain, Italy. There are so many vacation options that you will never have a dull moment living there. And France has a national high-speed rail system, which is called the TGV, and that means you can get to a lot of these destinations in just a few hours. Paris itself is a pretty walkable city, but it's a massive city. So due to its size, the main form of transportation is going to be their subway. The city also has buses, trams, bike shares, as well as suburban trains to take you a little bit further. If you'd like to learn more about living in France or Paris, please check out my complete guide to being an American expat in France, and you can find that link below. All right, we've made it to the last city on the list. Number 11 is Rome, Italy. The bustling Italian capital of Rome is often described as an open-air museum because of its long-standing history and culture that are on full display. It's home to the Colosseum, Pantheon, Vatican. It's a city of art, ancient ruins, and pasta. So living in Rome may not be for everyone. It can be a bit of a gritty city. And of course, as we all know, it is a big tourist destination. So while that may be a drawback for some, there is something very, magical and magnetic about Rome. So while it is a big city, I think Romans definitely know how to enjoy what they call la dolce vita. And you can see that in their cafe culture and also their work-life balance. Rome is an old city that's young at heart, and while there are tons of tourists there are so many expats that do actually call it home. Living here certainly isn't cheap, but the cost of living is much better than most major European capitals. You're going to need to make around 1,800 to 3,000 euros a month to live comfortably here. Private healthcare, though, is affordable and costs less than 100 euros a month. So the job market isn't really great here, and like I've said many times before, getting a work visa is going to be difficult, but many international companies have offices in Rome, so you might want to check and see if you can get an in-company transfer if you're working for a multinational to see if that's an option for you. If not, Italy has a non-lucrative visa equivalent. They also have a self-employment visa, so those may be your best routes to living here long-term. And of course, if you're interested in learning more about your visa options for Italy, check out my book, I'm Out of Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe. So let's talk about the weather. Rome has a Mediterranean climate, so the summers are going to be hot and humid, and the winters are pretty mild. And luckily, throughout the winter, the sun shines almost all the time. But don't be fooled by that because temperatures can drop to freezing at night. Spring and fall are cool, but you can find a lot of rainfall during those seasons. And while there are no shortages of things to do in Rome, Rome is a great location as a jumping off point to explore other parts of Italy. So with a short drive west, you can hit the beaches, and then you can also explore the beauties of Florence, Pompeii, Cinque Terre, the Amalfi Coast, and more. All of those are only just a car ride or a train ride away. So central Rome is pretty easily explored on foot, but since other parts of the city are more spread out, you're probably going to need to use public transportation to get there. Public transportation isn't the most convenient. Rome only has 3 subway lines, but it has an extensive bus network, although it can be unreliable with the city's traffic. And if you're looking to live outside of the city, well then trams and urban railways may be an option to get you to and from the city center. If you'd like to learn more about living in Italy or Rome, check out my complete guide to living in Italy as an American expat. You can find that link below. And that's it. We have gone through our list of the 11 best cities for Americans to live in Europe. And again, I just want to stress that making a move to Europe is totally possible if you're an American. This was video 2. I went over 6 videos. Please be sure to check out the first video to catch those first 5. And I'm confident that your ideal city, whether it's one of these 11 or even one of the other cities that I mentioned in my book, I got 35 in there, that there's an ideal city for you in Europe that you can call home. Okay, just gonna leave you with a few more resources here. If you're a woman age 30 and over, please join my Facebook group, She Hit Refresh, where you can connect with thousands of other women who want to move abroad or travel the world long term. And you'll find so many resources, support, and information that can help you with your move. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any more Move Abroad content.